This might look like a light aircraft, but it isn't. It's a microlight. And a microlight is any powered aircraft weighing less than 150 kilograms. This aeroplane, the Shadow, has revolutionized microlight design. It has been built not just for fun flying, but also as a workhorse. The prototype has already broken the world distance record of 355 miles and the world speed record of 95 miles an hour. The price and running costs are about the same as an average-sized family car. It can be transported in a trailer and rigged for flight in under 10 minutes.
Wants to come forward a bit, John. Push the wing down, John.
The Shadow was built by David Cook, a leader in hang gliding and microlight design for 10 years. David, could you tell me how many different types of microlights there actually are?
Oh, there's lots of different sorts of microlights. We have here today 4 separate types. The first one is a weight shift, controlled by moving your weight, and is more or less a hang glider with a powered trike unit underneath. The second one is a training aircraft called a Dragon, which is used for training pilots to handle microlights. It carries 2 people. The third one is a canard aircraft. It's a fixed wing thing with, looks like the tail is flying first, but in fact it's an old used adage in aviation, and works very well. The fourth one is our Shadow aircraft, which can carry 2 people. It's really a 1+1 machine, flies about 95 miles an hour, which is probably about twice as fast as any other microlight, and can go a distance of around 500 miles. This microlight was designed, David, to do work. I'd noticed most microlights hadn't done anything other than fly round and round fields, and I really designed this one to do work like carrying crop spraying equipment or surveillance equipment, the occasional person, rather than just a sporting vehicle.
In 1980, 10 microlight pilots were killed, and since that time, interest in the sport has declined. But the Shadow looks like changing that. Based on the original prototype, David Cook has set up a small factory in East Anglia and is now building 5 Shadows. Export orders have already come in from India and Spain.
Microlights actually have come a long way from a few years ago when they were shown to be possibly not as good with their integrity and structure as they are nowadays, and we actually have very few accidents with them. The general idea for microlights is for cheap flying for people who normally couldn't own an aeroplane. You can fly any of these microlights for less than £5 an hour, and a normal general aviation aircraft will cost you up to £50 an hour.
Although the craft only takes a few moments to assemble, David and his team have been waiting 9 months for the final approval of airworthiness from the British Civil Aviation Authority. Alarmed by the number of accidents in recent years, the CAA set tougher regulations and requirements in microlight construction, and it's been a long wait.
Well, you'd be amazed at the number of regulations they go to. We have to put our aircraft through 517 separate requirements, and whilst holding down the aircraft empty weight to 150 kilos and making it strong enough is very difficult.
Peter Davis will flight test the Shadow for the CAA.
Every designer has what we call a flight envelope, which is a graph of its maximum speeds, minimum speeds, it's how fast it will roll and how fast it will climb. And we've got to check those speeds against his documentation, and we also check things like the stability of the aeroplane, whether it's safe, whether it's got any problems that would cause difficulties with an average pilot. You don't need sort of abnormal pilot capabilities. So we check it out for the CAA to be able to say, well, yes, this is a safe aeroplane.
Whilst David awaits the CAA approval, the Shadow has been grounded and will not be sold. The threat of bankruptcy has been real.
They've classed it in the general aviation scene and applied all the rules associated with that scene to our movement, and that's a poor thing. And it's all time taken by a more or less cottage industry that can't afford to not be building aircraft and selling them.
But the future for the Shadow, a first in British manufacture and design, does seem hopeful. 18 months after the Shadow's maiden flight, the essential airworthiness certificate and a new industry are just round the corner.